This country is a country of openness, of respect, of compassion, of the rule of law, of the rights of the individuals, of freedom. Freedom from fear, freedom from crime, freedom to love who you want and not be judged for it, freedom to do what you want with your body, with your body.
Trudeau's meeting last week with a group of Toronto women was an example. Even with Sun TV watching for any slip, he was asked which country he most admired and referred to China.
There's a level of admiration I actually have for China because their basic dictatorship is allowing them to actually turn their economy around on a dime and say we need to go green as fast as we need to start investing in solar. I mean, there is a flexibility that I know Stephen Harper must dream about of having a dictatorship that he could do everything he wanted that I find quite interesting.
For China, I'm admire of the basic dictatorship in China. That is not only shocking, that is a shame.
As you know, the theme of this annual meeting is Mastering the Fourth Industrial Revolution. I couldn't imagine anybody who could represent more the world which will come out of this fourth industrial revolution. It certainly will be a world, hopefully, not certainly, hopefully, if we take the right decisions, which will be a diverse world characterized by plurality. It will be a world which will combine significant investments into the future.
Canadians step up to get their first dose of vaccinations. That is the story of the country. Canada has one of the highest vaccination rates of our peer countries around the world. Why? And it's not because Canadians love getting needles. It's because Canadians trust science. Canadians trust each other to do the right things. It's in our national psyche of being able to be there for our neighbors. This is a story of a country that got through this pandemic by being united, and a few people shouting and waving swastikas does not define who Canadians are.
Mr. Speaker, I applaud the member for Louis Hébert's courage, who stood up to this tone-deaf Prime Minister, calling on his government to stop politicizing the pandemic and stop dividing Canadians. Those speaking out against the mandates and the restrictions are not white supremacists or extremists like the Prime Minister tries to label. They are everyday Canadians who just want a clear path forward out of this pandemic so they can get on with their lives. Canadians' lives, businesses and mental health have all been devastated, and our Conservative team has been asking for this clear path forward for the last year. True leadership unites people, no matter their views, but this Prime Minister demonizes anyone anyone who doesn't agree with his ideologies, calling people racist, even though he did blackface, and kicked strong ethnic women out of his caucus who stood up against his corruption. It's time for this Prime Minister to stop politicizing the pandemic and start listening to Canadians who have suffered enough. Canadians need hope, they need leadership, and they need action now for a path forward out of the mandates and restrictions. We all owe it to Canadians to keep our land united, strong, and free.
This is September, but he was talking about people who are not vaccinated. He said they don't believe in science. They're often misogynistic, often racist. No, they're not.
That was not smart of him at all.
Right. He said, but they take up space. And with that, we have to make a choice in terms of a leader as a country. Do we tolerate these people? It's like, tolerate them. Now you do sound like Hitler.
That was...
And recently he talked about them holding unacceptable views.
Wow. I'm surprised to hear that Trudeau said those things.
You didn't see the blackface? I mean, he's no, I'm kidding about that. I'm not, I mean, that was not a good look for him. No, that's bad. But, I mean, come on. I mean, that's, I think, what gets under people's skin.
Are trying to blockade our economy, our democracy, and our fellow citizens' daily lives. It has to stop. The people of Ottawa don't deserve to be harassed in their own neighborhoods. They don't deserve to be confronted with the inherent violence of a swastika flying on a street corner.
So many ironies there, given Trudeau has been accused of blockading Canada's democracy and stoking division himself. Interestingly, one of his biggest critics, a member of his own family, Justin Trudeau's half-brother, Kyle Kemper, joins me now. Kyle, absolutely fascinating to talk to you this evening. I know you support the truckers, but previously you've always had a good relationship with your half-brother, Justin Trudeau, as well. So how difficult has that been for family relations?
You know, they say you can... Well, thank you for having me on the show, Don. Appreciate it.
Great to have you.
You know, they say you can pick your friends, but you can't pick your family. And I really do love my brother Justin with all my heart. And I'm very grateful to have had him in my life and to have been part of my upbringing and lessons that he's taught me. But I feel like, you know, over the last, I don't know, decade, we've drifted apart, like, you know, philosophically and politically, or really about like fundamental views on liberty and freedom. And, you know, with this COVID scam, whatever we want to call it, you know, it's been 2 years of fear from my brother and the media and, you know, the global corporatocracy, disconnecting people, creating uncertainty, doubt, mental health challenges, division amongst everybody. Like,
yes.
You know, the tensions have been so high.
Well, indeed.
And
so why? Why is your brother doing this? Why does he want to seemingly divide Canada? Have you been able to work it out?
Well, I mean, I can have my own kind of philosophies on it, but it seems to be that's the script. That is, you know, he is representing a pharmaceutical agenda and a World Economic Forum, Bill and Melinda Gates kind of agenda that is decidedly un-Canadian, and it wasn't ever voted on. Canadians never voted for vaccine mandates. And, you know, we've been disconnected. And this trucker convoy, most importantly, has created a sense, an opportunity for unity and for people to come together. And make no mistake, what's going on in Ottawa isn't hateful, and swastikas are not flying on street corners. That was one photo that would never in a crowd, that was cherry picked and then retweeted by the mainstream pharmaceutical media that just push this narrative to try and slander the entire movement. But the reality on the streets, I've been talking to these truckers, I've been talking to people, they're cleaning up the streets, crime is down, they're sharing, there's community, there's dancing, there's high vibration, there's music, and they just want our freedom back. They want the true north, strong and free is what Canada is known as.
Yeah, no, these are good, honest people. And I think there's a real irony on a couple of levels, Kyle, and I want to put both of them to you, because the first is obviously your brother, Trudeau, big supporter of the BLM movement, and we know that they were responsible for all sorts of acts of violence in North America over the past couple of years. Secondly, how do you stack up your brother's view on racism given his past with blackface?
Right. I mean, he's done some things that I'm sure he regrets and don't accurately necessarily represent him as a person. But, it's really kind of telling that those who speak and cast hate onto other groups are themselves representing hate and division. And by trying to dismiss or denigrate, a vast segment of Canadians who don't believe the lies anymore. They're done with the fear. They've woken up. They see that this is all a house of cards of lies. They have serious questions around the safety of this, around our children's future, around what is Canada going to become. And this has become a clarion call for Canadians to stand up and say, we demanding our freedoms back, and let's have a discussion. And one of the challenges that I think, Justin and the entire pharmaceutical corporatocracy has is you cannot debate. You cannot get into a debate in this because your science doesn't stand up to debate. Truth stands up to debate. Lies need to be censored, and you need to use fact checkers and misinformation quotes and an army of blue check marks to propagate a narrative.
Kyle, final question. Are you still in touch with your brother?
I haven't talked to my brother in a while, but and to Justin, I say, I love you. I'm sorry if I'm causing you harm. Please forgive me. And I'm deeply grateful to you, brother.
Okay. Well, look, you're the brother that I would want to hang out with. That's for sure. So please do come back. That is Kyle Kemper, the half-brother of Justin Trudeau, a freedom fighter very much.
Building back better means getting support to the most vulnerable while maintaining our momentum on reaching the 2030 Agenda for Sustainable Development and the SDGs. Canada is here to listen and to help. This pandemic has provided an opportunity for a reset. This is our chance to accelerate our pre-pandemic efforts to reimagine economic systems that actually address global challenges like extreme poverty, inequality, and climate change.